midterms.
The red wave.
I want to hear
The red wave.
Look at this. Missouri
Oh.
legalizes marijuana. Great news
Really?
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't vote, but
Oh,
I'm
you're-
glad it panned out.
Oh, you don't
Thanks for the
vote?
solidarity, Taylor. Taylor doesn't
I-
vote in solidarity until I'm allowed to vote.
That
I'm
triggers
a
me.
good friend.
Do you want to join that pact with us, Hutch? Do you here now want to pledge alongside Taylor to not vote until I'm allowed to vote?
The
Will you
only
make a
thing
promise?
that possibly triggers me more than somebody telling me they don't vote is the skill-based matchmaking.
No, he
I'm not kidding.
refuses to vote. He goes there. He tells them his opinions on every candidate. He researches them thoroughly, and then he
Dude, I stand there
he
at the
does
door
not
and
vote
harass.
down the ticket.
I
No,
harass everyone. Let me tell you why I'm not
he's
voting.
red,
today.
blue, all the way down because he's about values and who can do the best job. But he
It
still doesn't
triggers-
vote.
It triggers me
Solidarity.
less if you don't vote, but you don't actively try to get other people to not vote. Then I'm like,
That's what we do
I don't-
here.
I don't like that. I don't like that, but I can somewhat tolerate. It's the people that are like, I don't vote, and then they fucking spend half their time on Twitter trying to convince other people that there's no point in voting.
In the
and
title of this video, it's going to say hashtag don't vote.
I will never lend my celebrity. to this podcast.
Too late. You just did it.
Moving forward.
The title's gonna be Hutch says don't vote.
Oh, I will sue you.
Oh, no, but words. Well, you'd have to sue Zach. He's the one who puts the titles in.
I will get my best lawyer on that.
I don't really.
Yeah,
I
you're
we're not gonna
gonna get
put words in
dozens
your
of
mouth.
dollars out of Zach.
I don't see anybody out. I guess I don't follow it like you do. Like I don't see anybody out there being like, "Don't vote!
Oh, they
Yo, don't you
exist.
fucking vote!"
They exist, my friend. They exist in large numbers on the far left. The
Really?
The left.
the
I thought you were
far
gonna say
left.
right. The
No, they vote.
No,
the-
I actually, you know what? Honestly, in the last 3 years, I have spent 95% of the arguments that I have on Twitter are with that crowd,
which crowd?
Far
Like
left.
communists.
the far left. Like I'm
Far
talking about
left.
the actual hammer and sickle communists.
Oh, okay,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you can't.
I-
You shouldn't pay too much attention to communists.
I'm a little out of date now, but I used to spend time on Facebook reading about politics too much, and because a boomer, those guys were like, "This is all corrupt. They don't count the votes. It's all a conspiracy. Don't vote. Don't bother. Who cares?"
Yeah.
Trump says it.
Did you guys see? I don't know if you guys saw it. Trump. It finally happened. Trump full on went for DeSantis's jugular on Truth Social tonight. Like
Tonight?
really,
Oh, what
Tonight.
happened?
like really went after him, which I think is, I mean, I love it as like a lifelong Democrat. It's like great news for me because it's, I mean, the implications for that I think are quite obvious, but this is the worst time for him to go after DeSantis, who had DeSantis is arguably like has the strongest position within the Republican Party right now, and Donald Trump has never been weaker after Tuesday's
There's
elections.
a lot to read here. It would take like 3 minutes.
I
Should
would
I?
highly recommend you reading it. I gotta pee, but yeah. you
All
do
right,
that.
I'll take it on. I'm wearing my glasses. News Corp, which is Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and the no longer great New York Post, are all in for Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, an average Republican governor with a great public relations, who didn't have to close up his state, but did, unlike other Republican governors, whose overall numbers for a Republican were just average, middle of the pack, including COVID, and who has the advantage of sunshine, where people from badly run states up north would go no matter who the governor was, just like I did. All right, so he's saying people are moving there for the good weather.
I think
Ron
that's
came.
known.
Ron came to me in desperate shape in 2017. He was politically dead, losing in a landslide to a very good agricultural commissioner, Adam Putnam, who was loaded up with cash and had great poll numbers. Ron had low approval, bad polls, and no money. But he said that if I would endorse him, he could win. I didn't know Adam, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. And when I endorsed him, it was as though, to use a bad term, a nuclear weapon went off. Years later, they were the exact words that Adam Putnam used in describing Ron's endorsement. He said, I went from having it made with no competition to immediately getting clobbered after your endorsement. And then I got Ron by the star of the Democrat Party, Andrew Gilliam, who was
not
later
the star
revealed
of
to
the
be a crackhead.
Like I put crackhead in quotes.
by having 2 massive rallies with tens of thousands of people at each one. I also fixed his campaign, which had completely fallen apart. I was all in for Ron, and he beat Gilliam. Gillum, thank you. But after the race, when votes were stolen by the corrupt election process in Broward County, and Ron was going down 10,000 votes a day, along with now Senator Rick Scott, I sent in the FBI and U.S. attorneys, and the ballot theft immediately ended. Just prior to them running out the votes necessary to win, I stopped his election from being stolen. And now, Ron DeSanctimonious is playing games! ! The fake news asks him if he is going to run if Trump runs, and he says, I'm only focused on the governor race. I'm not looking into the future. Well, in terms of loyalty and class, that's not really the right answer. This is just like 2015 and 16. A media assault collusion when Fox News fought me to the end until I won. And then they couldn't have been nicer and more supportive. The Wall Street Journal loved low-energy Jeb Bush and a succession of other people as they rapidly disappeared from sight, finally falling in line with me after I easily knocked them out one by one. We're in exactly the same position now. They will keep coming after us, MAGA, but ultimately we will win. Put America first and make America great again. Okay.
I really
let me ask you a question,
like
Woody.
Ron
When you read those words,
DeSanctimonious. It's
do
not a
you
good
feel
nickname.
that the same way you feel when Captain America picks up Mjolnir? Or
Dude, it's equally inspiring. You know what? Like what I will never get tired about, like the way that Trump writes is like the random capitalizations, where he'll just randomly say he is a crackhead, and it's like yes, the proper noun, crackhead.
So the implications,
honestly, Ron DeSanctimonious, that is far and away the worst nickname he's ever done. That's a ton of syllables. Most people don't know what sanctimonious means. It's
I had to
clunky.
Google it. I looked it up. I was
terrible.
like, what does sanctimonious mean exactly? And gosh, I need to recheck it, Taylor. But it means
it's
basically
like he's
someone who like
holier
follows,
holier
who's
than
very
thou.
polite.
holier than thou.
Yeah.
Someone who's oh my goodness, I'm holier than you. I'm better than you. Like
regard yourself as morally superior than the average human. I think would be
which like I don't know shit about Ron DeSantis really, but like go up and do something funnier than that. Like no one's compelled by that. Ron DeSanctimonious.
Ron DeSantis.
DeSanctimonious. You make a six. You know
what's
syllable
good?
insult?
You know what's good? Toxic Trump. Toxic Trump, who no one will vote for. If they just bang that drum, he's toxic Trump. He's lost America. Toxic Trump. Everyone's tired of his act. Everyone's tired of his lies.
They'll flip that.
So this is like an interesting Game of Thrones.
We'll see.
This is an interesting Game of Thrones moment right now because he has forced Ron DeSantis to respond in some way. Because DeSantis has clearly been positioning himself to take up the mantle whenever Trump's time is done. He's for sure going to make a run for the nomination. Will almost certainly get it. Now he's in a position where he can't look weak and just be like, you know what? Didn't mean to offend you, sir. Yada, yada, yada. Because then they're never going to respect him the way that they respect Trump.
Wait, you think DeSantis, you said he's for sure going to run for the nomination and get it, but I didn't know who was for sure going to get it.
DeSantis is, well, the only thing, like if you would have asked me a week ago, then Trump, I think I would tell you like, yeah, 100%. Like DeSantis has like, 25% of the Republican voter base think he should be the nominee. And it was like 52% were Trump. And then the rest were split between them, like just a bunch of like weird mishmash of people. But after Tuesday, I have no idea what those polls are going to look like in a week because Donald Trump almost single-handedly tanked his party's chances of murdering the Democrats in a midterm that should have been a bloodbath. Barack Obama lost 63 seats in 2010, with economic worry being the chief concern. Bill Clinton lost 54 seats with a massive crime wave and economic worry being a chief concern. Democrats are not in a strong position. Joe Biden has been hovering around a 42% in the aggregate for months now. He's never been the only time he was like kind of popular was like right in the beginning. And then the Afghanistan withdrawal happened. He's never recovered from that. He went up a little bit recently because he's done some stuff that people like, but not in a meaningful way, like 3-4 points.
I'm seeing the same
thing. My I don't know about like Trump tanking it. Like my guess from like the way the Republicans super like underperformed was like I thought like Roe v. Wade was the big explanation. Right?
It's hard to put one
Like,
thing on it. I want to
no.
jump in. Roe v. Wade and the exit polls was the number one issue. So you're not wrong, that's for sure.
No,
But,
no, I saw
the-
the economy was the number one issue.
I think inflation was number one.
I'm only as
Yeah.
good as my
Some
sources.
states.
I'm seeing abortion.
In Pennsylvania, abortion was a little bit more than inflation.
Okay. So anyway,
We're all
abortion
whores
was the number one thing. Hey, don't talk about slutty women
Don't talk
pejoratively.
about-
We like slutty women.
I like horse.
So they're a friend of the show. Anyway, the tactic the Democrats did where they donated and campaigned on behalf of the wacky Republican
worked.
election
Yeah, it
deniers.
seems like it worked well.
They all
It
got their
worked.
asses kicked. People aren't
It
really
worked.
into what Trump is selling anymore, which is like bullshit and lies.
Hang on,
Election
all right.
denial, it doesn't fly.
Okay, so election and I will never.
Yeah, it
fly.
doesn't
Done
seem to
with that.
fly.
That doesn't fly with me, certainly. I won't say that I'm down on Trump, but what Trump can't sell me is these like wackadoo people. Like when you look at some of those people that he propped up, it's like, what
Why did
was
he pick
the right
Herschel Walker?
What? All right, so that's different. If you look at how close that is, Herschel's fine. If you're appealing,
Warnock will win in a
Herschel-
runoff. He will
Warnock
win in a
very-
runoff. Watch, you just watch.
look how close it is. Look. Who was the other candidate?
But
here in
wait,
Georgia?
it
Who's gonna
shouldn't be
closer?
close in Georgia. I don't know who Walker,
We're
who he could
purple
have
here.
picked.
Warnock, I mean,
Well,
Warnock's the
okay.
incumbent. I get that it was kind of a weird thing last time when he won, but Atlanta is definitely like the population base. It's mostly black. It's all blue, and then you've got the rest of the red around Atlanta here. Herschel Walker is a huge name here. I knew Herschel Walker's name from way back. Herschel Walker's name was spoken in high school with reverence.
He did
Okay,
not
and-
get that much of the black vote.
He did not, but
No.
he
We
got.
ran against a black guy, so
He did not, but he got all the white vote.
It's going to go to a runoff, and Herschel
Yeah.
Walker is no longer going to be buoyed by Kemp, who is a somewhat popular, in today's standards, is a somewhat popular governor. He's
He
not going to be
trailed-
on the ticket anymore. The Libertarian, you can't really accurately predict, tremendous amount of accuracy. If it's
I'm
gonna
not
be
calling
like
the election.
most
What
of
I'm
them are-
saying is that Herschel Walker's not a bad candidate when it's this close.
He's
right?
a horrible candidate.
I think he's
Right?
a terrible
Proof's in the
candidate.
pudding. Look how close it is.
Well,
I do understand your argument that Georgia.
You guys are talking about like, oh, he doesn't speak well, or like his past this, or his policies that. His name is Herschel Walker, and because you're not from here, that doesn't mean anything to you.
He played for the Eagles. It means plenty to me. All right.
He has.
You owe him.
No one here knows. I promise you. Like I'm not saying he'll win. but
Man did
Herschel Walker's
1,000
strong
push-ups a day
candidate
for
here.
us. You don't think
an institutional, boring kind of Republican could have probably beat. Certainly had a better chance of beating Fetterman in Pennsylvania, but he went with
Oh,
Oz.
now that's fair.
He went with
That's fair.
Oz. Like all these extremist candidates, he had a horrible night in terms of who he endorsed and
Would you
what
feel
the
comfortable? Would you feel comfortable with Fetterman representing you personally in a business deal that you couldn't be present at?
in a business deal.
I'm making it personal about you now. Like it's easy to make him
I
the
don't
representative of
think-
Pennsylvania, but he's going to represent you. Here's the thing: Activision wants you to make a little content for him next with this new season that's about to pop. Fetterman's going to be your guy. He's in the meeting with the guys from Activision. They got some of the devs there too. They want some input from you. You've given Fetterman your thoughts on a number of issues, but he's going in.
I don't think these are. I would have voted for Fetterman over Oz for sure.
That's
But-
not the question.
Kyle, he's not doing something as important as mitigating a business deal for Hutch individually. He's running Pennsylvania. Calm down with these extreme examples.
Not running
Wait, an
Pennsylvania.
ability to cogently communicate with people in politics? Pish posh. Like, what is politics if not fundamentally communication?
No, there is a thing. Like if we know his issues in advance,
We'll
right?
give him
We
the
know-
speaking spell. Don't worry.
No, we know he's going to be
just had a
pro-life.
stroke.
We know he's going to
The
be
man just
pro-pop.
had a
We-
stroke.
Yeah,
like-
and it's very
And I hope
obvious.
he recovers, but until he does,
Hope
maybe
he's
not
okay.
public office, huh?
But he shouldn't. Yeah,
I don't even need
I
him to
don't care
communicate.
about
I just
that.
need him to vote the way I wish he'd vote.
Exactly.
He could
And
do
that-
that with a gag in his mouth. Actually, kind of.
Is that all they are? Is like
And
proxy
that's-
votes?
That's why
These representatives?
Ideally, they're
Yeah.
proxy votes for Woody. Like that would be
directly for
how
me.
I would do it.
That's why you vote for a politician. You're not looking for these people. That's why I like, if you're a Republican in Georgia, I get why you're voting for Herschel Walker. What's the alternative? You don't want Warnock. Like, I get it. I'm not going to like criticize them. Like, how could they vote for someone who had fucking, paid for an abortion and lied about it? I'm like, what the fuck? He's going to vote for you to get tax breaks. Then obviously you're going to vote for him.
That's
by the way,
Pennsylvania.
no one on the
they're not
right
going to vote
cares about
Republican,
that.
so they'll vote for someone who can't communicate.
They would
fact
vote for
that
a
they
Republican
think
in Pennsylvania.
They're pretty
though.
purple.
The fact that they think that's an effective
I
scandal
don't think
still
I
to
think
like
he lost by
accuse
a lot,
Herschel
didn't he?
Walker of paying for abortions is laughable.
That's
He
a
didn't look-
crazy scandal to me, though. I mean, come on.
Exactly to you,
Like-
because you were never going to vote for him though, and neither were the other people who think it's a crazy scandal. To everyone on the right, they're like, sounds like the man got some pussy. Hell yeah, Herschel. I bet Herschel was pounding that pussy. Ain't no telling how many
Herschel
abortions
has
has
it
right on
What a man
abortion.
supposed to do? Raise 25 kids?
I
Look, all these
True.
women, they don't want to have babies because it's inconvenient for them.
We
But
all
Herschel's
understand
stance
Herschel.
is on the money. Herschel's stance is you don't have babies when it's inconvenient for the man. That's a guy who can get behind.
I wish that Democratic voters treated voting like Republican voters do. I wish that they would stop looking at these candidates to be perfect moral examples of how you should exist in the world, and they should just vote in the interest of the best candidate in terms of the pursuit of their political goals. And that's it.
Wow.
I really don't think any moral failing should stop you from voting for someone who's going to provide crucial votes in the Senate and who's going to help you maintain your majority. I really believe that. And, so I get it, but
Even
it's
brain
still
damage.
like
We'll take the brain damage, the
There's
amoral, the criminals.
he was told
you'll
people
vote
have
right.
strokes and recover. People have strokes and
the
recover.
amoral.
They do.
And when he does, we'd love to vote for him.
Listen, he went to a doctor. The doctor told him, I don't see any reason why you can't serve in this
Trump
office.
went to a doctor too. Did you see that press release? He
Television,
served for
woman,
4 years.
newspaper,
Remember that?
wall. or whatever the fuck it was.
235.
He served though.
on.
That's the point. He went to the doctor cleared him, and it's like I had no reason to believe he wasn't physically capable of like being the president.
Who?
He's
Trump.
not Trump.
Trump.
No,
I mean,
of
I
course
just-
not. But I
Yeah.
don't think Fetterman is.
It's the healthiest president.
You
in
couldn't
the
answer
history
the
of
question for a
office.
reason. You were like, wait a minute. Well, I mean, I don't know about all that. I mean, come
Which
on.
question? The one about the business thing?
Yeah,
I wouldn't want Bernie representing me in like a business meeting, but I would support
All he
like
has
a
to
Bernie
do,
ticket.
all he has to do is push your ideas. What I'm saying is that Fetterman can't do that effectively. Like all he has to do is go in there and like, look, Hutch says he works for this. This is what he gets paid, and he is available for these dates, for these days, and oh yeah, he's amenable to that and this.
Again,
Like,
I do not care. Like, as long as Fetterman is there to vote for policies and to vote to confirm judges that I want to see on the bench, I don't give a fuck if he's like not that great of a
I would be
orator.
fearful
hung
of a
up
brain
on-
damaged leader.
Not
We're hung
that
up
great
on
of an
one
orator.
senator's brain damage. To me, the big story is that fealty to Trump has ruined the Republican Party, and they're starting to see it the same way I do.
It could be.
I think
they'll
coagulate.
My gut, feeling was that like Roe v. Wade really inspired Democrats to like come out in a big way.
He was the one who put the judges on the bench who did that in the first place. I think the Republican Party is having a big careful what you wish for moment because for a long time they were totally fine being the party that just kind of stopped the federal government from doing too many meaningful things.
They should have. I'm sorry. Can I jump in though?
Yeah.
They should have handled abortion the same way Democrats handle guns, which is like, oh yeah, we don't like it in theory, and like maybe we should have some common sense background checks or something. But let's move on. You got any other topics you want to talk about? And that's it. But Democrats haven't taken your guns. They haven't done shit since Clinton, which is like 1994 or something like that. That's incalculable. It's 28 years ago since the Democrats did anything about guns. They don't do shit. Republicans actually got something done on abortion, and it was a mistake. It was a careful.
can I jump in
It looks
there?
like a big
Hang on.
miscalculation for them.
Let me play the devil's advocate here then.
Okay.
Everyone seems to think it's a huge mistake, right? Here's what I see from the outside looking in. They still won, right? They still won.
No.
They got more. They had more. Oh, all right. Well, then
Let me lay this.
I asked if I could talk. You agreed.
You said they still won, right?
Okay. Well, it was a rhetorical question. They still won, right? They have
We
more.
literally
They have.
don't know.
This is the
In
part
a
where
minute,
it's.
we don't know
We
yet.
need to talk about rhetorical questions. Are
Okay.
they still won, right?
They'll probably win that.
They have more seats. They have more votes. And this you talked about, oh, every time this happens, there's usually a big swing. Yeah, every time this happens, every 2 years this shit happens. I'm talking about a generational thing that can't be undone for a very long time with Roe v. Wade. They won, and the winning is done. They won forever. They won until you can add more judges to the court somehow.
At what
They won.
cost?
They won until at the cost of this 2-year cycle not going so well. We didn't blow them out this cycle.
And from the perspective of like older GOP vote, like people that are very pro-life, like they see this as a huge win because like obviously if you believe that is murder,
this is a
you see that
title.
as an enormous.
This is a national title for them.
Like
this
they
is
see it as a moral victory.
This is a world championship that they have been grinding against their hated rival for the last 40, 50 years, and they won. And you're saying, yeah, but we lost. Our AAA team lost. Look how badly your AAA team lost.
It's a permanent liability until
they don't know their representatives' names. They don't care, but they know that abortion is on the way out, and they love it.
You can't govern or be given a mandate to govern by strictly appealing to pro-life boomers. It's just not going to help you out in the long run at all. And this issue isn't going away until they codify Roe.
It's a huge amount of women.
It's mostly
it's a huge amount of women, and it's a huge way more than you would think. Look at the polls. Look how many women are pro-life.
I think it's a higher percentage of women than men. Right?
Yeah.
No.
That would surprise me. Is that true?
No. It's like 2 out of 3 women oppose getting rid of Roe v. Wade, and it's like half of men.
And whether it's good or bad for the future politically, they don't care. This is a moral victory. They really mean it when they think abortion is murder. When they say that abortion is murder, they mean it, Hutch. Like when they're not, that isn't them like being like, you know how we say things.
Yeah, they're not being dramatic. That's what they believe.
Being dramatic.
No, I understand that.
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just okay with murder in certain situations.
They think a Holocaust has been going on, and finally Donald Trump stopped an ongoing Holocaust.
But that is a minority opinion.
And you think that this is going to energize Republican voters?
I think that it doesn't matter because the game's over. The Supreme Court is
not over.
It doesn't matter. You've got 2 branches, and then you've got the executive. The Supreme Court clearly nullifies all of those, and Donald Trump made sure that he won that. So how do you win?
Unless they codify, you can codify Roe. You can write it. You can write.
Do they have the votes?
No, they do not.
Okay, then.
But do you understand? This is something that energizes Democratic voters, and it will continue to energize them every 2 years because there's going to be these stories coming out of Ohio of fucking 12-year-old girls forced to give birth and shit. And it's not going to stop. And it's just a permanent liability until it gets codified. So now Democrats have the same fucking carrot that the Republicans were dangling. If you elect us, appealing to their sort of evangelical.
We'll go back the other way.
They're doing that now. Now the ball's in the Democrats' hand, and they get to tell people they will codify Roe if you give them filibuster-proof majority in the Senate and a majority in the House and a president.
Wow, that's 60 in the Senate, isn't it?
It is.
Yes,
it's pretty rare, but it happened with Obamacare. Obamacare.
Well, now you have
2009.
Now it happens though. That's the thing. It did. I mean, it happened like 10 years ago, like you said.
Let me ask
12
you
years
this:
ago.
like we're talking about here, so the Republicans probably know that they should make sure that doesn't get codified, right? Can't they preemptively make sure that doesn't matter?
It's a losing issue. It's a losing
issue. They don't
because
care about losing, Hutch.
I promise you, Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy care about losing.
I love just if we could look at this graph for a second, like the 55% like all America, like pro-choice, 39% pro-life. Like I love the 5% at the bottom. I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
This is for the birds.
That's the stable number.
That bump is not going away. And you know who was the biggest? I probably don't even have to tell you about the age group of people in this country that swung the hardest for the Democrats were fucking young people. 35 and under swung for the Democrats by the highest margin ever. And they registered a shitload of people in these states that are now passing laws to restrict or outlaw abortion. It is energizing Democrats, and it will not go away. It's just like this permanent thing that Democrats can point to.